But she ended up having a boy, and because my brother, Todd, looked like Mom, she treated him better than me. Mom had another son, Sam, who also looked like her. Dad was a construction worker and did his best to ensure we always had everything. But it wasn't easy to please Mom as she wanted to live a fancy life. Dad and I cared for our home and my brothers because Mom never bothered about anything related to us. When I turned 10, she started staying out late, and sometimes she would stay for days. Mom and Dad started fighting a lot and she would blame us for their problems, saying we were ruining her life. One day, Dad went through her phone and found out that she was having an affair with a local club owner. They had a messy divorce, with Mom trying to take away our home even though she didn't want custody. She said Dad could have us but wanted the house, which she didn't get. Mom's new boyfriend was rich and could give her the life she wanted, so she quickly forgot about us. A year later, Mom showed up and seemed remorseful. She told Dad that she wanted us to be in her life and was sorry for everything she did. My brothers accepted her apology readily, especially when they saw the stuff she got for them. She picked us up later that weekend and took us shopping and we met her boyfriend officially. I didn't like him, and he didn't seem to like me either. He asked Mom if she was sure she gave birth to me and that I didn't look like her. The two of them burst into laughter while looking at me weirdly. I was so embarrassed that I didn't want to go to their place anymore. Dad was upset over what they did, but he told me to speak with Mom and let her know how it made me feel. When I spoke with Mom, she said I was overreacting, and they weren't laughing at me but at an inside joke. A few months later, I discovered why Mom returned to our lives. She was pregnant, and she had found out that she was going to have triplet girls. She wanted to rub it in my face that she finally had her wish. One day, she asked me to go shopping with her and bought loads of clothes and toys for her unborn babies. I saw a shoe I liked in the kids section and asked if I could have it, but she said she had no money left on her card. On our way back to her place, she stopped at a jewelry shop to have 3 little bracelets made for her girls with their initials. Mom had also picked out their names. She asked me if I was upset that she couldn't get the shoes for me, and I told her not to worry about it. When the babies were born, my brothers and I visited Mom, and we brought flowers and gifts for the babies, but I wasn't allowed to go in to see them. I was told the room would be too crowded, so only my brothers could go in. I stopped visiting Mom afterwards. She didn't have custody of us, so I was not obligated to visit her. Every weekend, she sent her chauffeur to pick up my brothers and would treat them to good times. Once, my dad asked the driver to wait so I could pack my bags and join my brothers as Mom wanted to take them on a road trip. The driver looked uncomfortable, so I said I didn't want to go anyway. Dad insisted that he must tell him why he wasn't pleased with me joining them. After a long pause, the driver told Dad that Mom instructed him not to bring me to her place. Dad was livid and was going to call her, but I asked him not to. My brothers started spending more time at Mom's, and they couldn't understand why I wouldn't go to Mom's. I didn't have any friends in school, and Dad was busy most of the time, so I started baking out of boredom. I asked Dad to buy me all I would need for my new hobby and he did. After a while, I realized I enjoyed baking and wanted to be a professional baker someday. I started watching YouTube videos and practicing what I had learned. I was so eager to share my baked goods with everyone that I called Mom and told her I wanted to bake some cupcakes for her as a birthday gift. I told her that I had been learning and practicing for months. Mom seemed delighted and said she would ask her driver to bring me to her during the weekend. I was so happy that I put so much care into baking her some cupcakes and cookies. Her boyfriend wasn't around, so it was just the two of us, mother and daughter. I was delighted. We had lunch together in her house, and she showed me videos of my identical half-sisters. The girls were in the house, but she wouldn't let me see them. She said she didn't let them have much contact with people who weren't family members. I didn't point out to her that I was family and I was her blood, too. Mom took the gifts I brought for her into her kitchen, promising to eat them later. Later that afternoon, I went to use the bathroom and felt thirsty, so I went to the kitchen to have a drink of water and found Mom's housekeeper eating the cupcakes. She said Mom asked her to throw them away but she didn't have the heart to because she knew I baked them. I didn't ask Mom anything. I returned to the living room and told her I wanted to leave. I didn't wait for her to ring her driver to drop me home. I walked to the bus stop and took a bus home. I didn't talk to Mom until 3 years later when she called to tell me she was getting married to her boyfriend and wanted me to be her flower girl. My brother, Todd, would be the ring bearer while Sam would play another part in the wedding. Mom told me the wedding was a day before my birthday, but she and her boyfriend had discussed it and had decided not to leave for their honeymoon right away. They would leave for their honeymoon the day after my birthday. She called Dad as well and told him not to make any plans for my birthday because she would handle it. She promised me a birthday dress, a laptop, and a cake. She said I could invite my friends too. Dad asked if she was certain, because of how she treated me in the past. Mom swore she would throw me the best birthday party I had ever had. I went to see her, and she showed me her engagement ring. She also let me see my sisters for the first time in person. They were so adorable that I couldn't even be mad at them. I spent a few minutes with them before their nanny led them back to their room. I started visiting Mom again and spent the night at her place several times. Although Mom promised to throw me a birthday party, she didn't say anything about it anymore. Whenever I brought it up, she would tell me she had everything under control. A few days before the wedding, Mom and the wedding planner were reviewing the details for the wedding and I reminded her that we hadn't found a dress for me. I was going to be the flower girl and I didn't have anything good to wear to the wedding. Mom waved me off and said we would discuss it later. The next day, I reminded her again, and she told me she had something to tell me that would break my heart. She said she knew I was a big girl and would be fine. She told me that her boyfriend, Derek, wanted their triplet daughters to be the flower girls. She said the girls were young, beautiful, and would look better on a magazine cover. She said a local wedding magazine was covering the event. Then she reached for my hands and said she would no longer be able to throw me a birthday party because she and Derek had decided to leave for their honeymoon immediately. I told her I didn't mind not having a party or being the flower girl. Then she dropped another bombshell on me. She said I couldn't attend the wedding because I looked like Dad and Derek didn't like him. She said his family and friends would be present, and she didn't want anyone joking about me not looking like her. Then she chuckled and looked at me, expecting me to agree with her. I was heartbroken. I broke down in tears and started screaming at her. I told Mom it wasn't my fault that I didn't look like her. Derek came in to find out what was happening, and Mom started crying. Derek asked me to get my things and leave and never return. He said he didn't like me because I looked like my dad, and Mom was embarrassed to have a daughter like me. He said I should be grateful that Mom didn't completely cut me out of her life when she left my dad. I got my things and told him he would never see me in his home again. I told my brothers I was leaving, and that Mom uninvited me to her wedding because she thought I was an embarrassment. My brothers decided to leave with me, but Mom told them they would never be welcome in her home again if they went with me. I called Dad, and he came to pick us up. Dad got us pizza when we got home and tried to cheer me up, but I knew only baking could help me. I stayed up all night baking, but the cake was different from the ones I used to make. I made a 3-tiered black wedding cake with the groom's pants around his ankles as if it suddenly dropped. I posted it on my Instagram page, and when I woke up late at noon, I was surprised to see that I had gained new followers and the post had gotten over 3,000 likes. There were several requests in my DM for me to make that same cake. I started making more cakes with dramatic, humorous, and complex designs. People started reaching out to me to make them special cakes, and it dawned on me that I could make good money off selling cakes. I created a name for my brand, and Dad paid someone to build me a website. Since I was still in school, I only accepted orders that would be delivered during the weekend. I became popular on social media and got large orders, so I partnered with my brothers. They were able to help me with the mini orders while I handled the more complex ones. We were watching a baking show one evening when the host announced that a new season of the show would kick off in a few months, and they were still accepting applications. My brothers asked me to sign up for the contest. It would be during the summer, and I wouldn't have to worry about missing classes. I signed up for the contest and emailed them some of my works. I didn't expect to get a response quickly, but the next day, I received another email from the producers saying a package would be sent to me. I was to bake a cake that looked like the image in the package. I was so excited, and the next day, I got a box with a photo of the Eiffel Tower and a couple kissing in front of it. My brothers filmed me as I made the cake. It looked so gorgeous when I was done. I took photos of the cake and uploaded it with the video to their website. Then they sent me a gift basket with a congratulatory note that I was in the contest. I couldn't believe it. The contest was going to be held every week, and there were 12 contestants. We couldn't afford to rent a hotel room near the location, so each week, Dad drove my brothers and me to the studio. The competition was intense, and we were judged based on our presentation, creativity, and taste. I had jitters just before arriving at the studio, but once we were given our tasks and I started to bake, I would forget everything else. The show was being aired live, so my followers, fans, and schoolmates reached out to me, wishing me all the best. My weekly orders had also increased since the show started to air, and Dad had to hire a professional baker to help me out. We started the show as 12 contestants but were soon down to 8, and that was when the competition got more challenging. 2 contestants dropped out of the show because they couldn't deal with the tension. The winner would get the Teenagers Baking Champion title with $50,000 in cash and be one of the judges in the next season. The winner would also receive a complete kitchen remodel for their business or home, and the winning cake would be sold and the money donated to charity. I had no idea how famous the show was because I couldn't walk down the street without someone saying kind words or encouraging me. We had to hire more bakers because our clientele had increased, and to my surprise, Dad told me that he would quit his job so he could manage the bakery until I was old enough to handle things myself. It brought tears to my eyes because there was no one I trusted in the world more than my dad, and I knew he quit his job to ensure my business was safe. I told him that even when I became an adult, I still wanted him to continue managing the business. A few days before the show ended, Mom came by and said she wanted to speak to Dad. I didn't want to speak to her, but Dad said we should hear her out, and perhaps she came to apologize. Mom said she wanted to be my manager because Dad didn't know anything about showbiz, and she would ensure that I became a celebrity baker. I told her I didn't need her help and I didn't want her in my life. She said I would regret my decision if I didn't let her become my manager. When she realized she wouldn't get her way, she asked if I could give her the complete kitchen remodel if I won the contest. I told her that she had rejected me my whole life, but now that I had something good going on for me, she suddenly wanted to be in my life. I asked her to leave and told her I wanted nothing to do with her. She left angrily, saying I wouldn't win the show and would never become anything without her. Dad got angry and asked her not to come back. If she did, he would get a restraining order against her. Instead of Mom's words negatively affecting me, They motivated me to put my best into my work, and I won the contest. I was one of the judges for the next season, which opened the doors to more blessings. I was featured in top magazines, got a scholarship, and had several other gigs that paid me thousands of dollars. We had to relocate my bakery to a bigger venue, and a large crowd turned up on the day of the opening. The opening was featured in several magazines and on the Food Network. I was once a girl whose mother wouldn't spare a few dollars to get her a birthday cake, but now I was the girl baking cakes and living the life her mother always wanted. Mom kept trying to get back into our lives, so Dad got a restraining order against her, and that was when she stopped contacting us.